Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the RegTech Association's RegTech Edge No Borders event on financial crime. I'm Deborah Young, and I'm the CEO of the RegTech Association. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting today and pay my respects to elders past and present, and to offer a warm welcome to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander friends with us here today, and a warm welcome to all of you as well, members and friends of the association. There's much going on across the financial crime spectrum right now, including that we've held or participated in a number of events focused specifically on digital ID over the last few weeks. And evidenced by the nearly 180 people registered for this event from more than 21 countries, it's testament to the focus that there is around financial crime right now. And in fact, this week is actually Scams Week 24. That's hashtag Scams Week 24 in case you're on socials. And so this provides us, given it's that special week, this provides us an opportunity to highlight the importance of great technology to counteract financial crime across all dimensions. Last week, I had opportunity of hearing Tracy Hall's personal story. She's written a book called The Last Victim, which I highly recommend you pick up a copy and read. And while it's commonly referred to in her case as a romance scam, mostly because it made that as a nice headline, actually it was a personalised financial crime against her. One of many where victims are ashamed and embarrassed to come forward. And I was really personally very impressed by Tracy's bravery. I also wanted to call out that next week we are launching a global anti-scam challenge with a major financial services firm. This will include 3 challenge statements, and it's an opportunity for organisations solving for scams and fraud to present to a global consortium of potential buyers. The email will be out next Monday. If you were already online for this event, you are already on the mailing list and you shall receive that email, and all of those problem statements will be outlined and everybody has an opportunity to contribute. On the topic, we're also planning a new RegTech Edge No Borders event, which will be focused purely on scams and fraud. So if you are a RegTech company and you're interested in participating, please do reach out to us. We will schedule that later in the year. We have another couple of big events coming up that I'd like to mention, including Intersect, which is being held in Melbourne in September. There is the COBA, the Community-Owned Banking Association Conference in Adelaide, also in September. And then we are fully charged to attend the Insights Forum and the Singapore FinTech Festival in the first week of November. And the RegTech Association is helping Alavandi to program some of their RegTech content. So please do watch out for us at the festival. We're also currently, if you could go to the next slide, Nathan. We're currently seeking sponsors to help us take messages to the community. And what you see on the slide there was an event that we did last week. It was specifically focused around digital identity. So if you would like to do something similar, please do get in touch with us. This is going to you're going to see more of these style of events from us, where they are much smaller group, much more intimate, and we are finding a much better return on investment for the sponsors out there. So please do get in touch with us. And I also wanted to say, there's lots of jobs floating out there in the industry at the moment. So we've created a new monthly newsletter, and we are posting the jobs in that newsletter. So if you are recruiting at the moment, please do get in touch with us, and we can include a few lines about the job role that you have, and it will link through to your platform of choice. So before we get underway today, there's a few housekeeping items that I'd like to go over. First one being that we are recording proceedings today, and every registered delegate will receive a link. Don't be alarmed if you don't see the full 180 come online today. Many people pick this up as a recording as we send it out afterwards. And if I could ask everybody to keep their cameras and mics off unless you are presenting, thank you very much. And we ask that any or all questions be placed in the chat, please. Don't be shy. We'd love to see your questions in there, and I'll ask the presenters today to jump on that chat to answer any of those things directly with you. There will also be some polls that come up from time to time. We would really appreciate your input to these polls as we use this information to drive our programs. And obviously there's an important one there on the quality of the program and how you found it today, and we want your feedback. To our presenters, I'd like to respectfully ask you not to go over your allocated time, and that's so that we can make the most of the next hour that we have with one another, and that everybody gets an equal opportunity. So today we will bring this financial crime risk area of our RegTech taxonomy to life with 8 of our member firms. One of those is going to start by giving us an overview, and then you'll see 7 different solutions. So I urge you to sit back and relax, and we're going to bring you the best of the best. But to kick us off, I'm delighted to introduce Arvind Krishnamurthy, who is a director at KordaMentha's financial crime team in Melbourne. He has extensive experience in assisting organisations with assessing, managing and mitigating AML, TF and broader financial crime risk. In particular, Arvind has worked in a consulting capacity to provide clients with both advisory and operational assistance across the financial services and gaming sectors. Arvind has also completed several secondment engagements with large banking clients and led project teams as part of a broader transformation program within those organisations. And so it is my great pleasure to invite Arvind to the virtual podium, and I'll hand to you now. Thank you, Arvind.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks everyone for joining today. Today I'll just be giving a really quick overview of some of the recent developments in the financial crime landscape, with a particular focus on the Australian landscape and using that to highlight the increasing risk in this area and changes in this area. And Nathan, if you go to the next slide, please. So you would have seen in Australia recently, AUSTRAC released both a money laundering and a terrorism financing risk assessment. And these documents are really important because they provide a lot of guidance to reporting entities in understanding their MLTF threats and vulnerabilities, and form a key input into each reporting entity's MLTF risk assessment. From an ML perspective, the NRA identified that the money laundering risk in Australia remains high because Australia is such an attractive destination to store and integrate criminal proceeds. It identified a number of high-risk ML threats, such as illicit drugs, tax and revenue crime, and government-funded program fraud. It also identified a few medium and increasing ML threats. There's a number of them in the report, but a couple to note around the scams and identity crime space. So as Deborah mentioned, it is an area that is increasingly has started increasing as an issue during and post COVID, and is increasingly becoming an issue. So we can see that it's also been called as it's been called out in the National Risk Assessment. Although that's focused on MLTF risk, we can say that it's all, from a fraud perspective, that's also increasing. And then from a vulnerabilities perspective, the NRA reinforced what we've known for a while, which is that the high risk vulnerabilities are around the use of cash, casinos, the banking sector, remittance, and then tranche 2. And then from a TF perspective, the NRA identified that there are continued uses of previously established methods, such as contributions from individual supporters through the guise of, often under the guise of a charitable giving. And the NRA reiterated that it's actually really difficult to detect TF activity, given that the amounts are generally small and transactions mirror legitimate financial activity. And then from an enforcement perspective, so where has AUSTRAC's focus been recently? So it's been in across a few areas, one being the casino space. So we know that Crown and Sky City have been ordered to pay substantial fines for breaches of the acts, as well as there's been ongoing court proceedings against Star. From a gaming perspective, Sportsbet had recently received an enforceable undertaking, while Entain and Bet365 are currently under investigation. So the gaming space, both physical and online, have received a heightened level of focus in Australia. And then banking and payment providers, so BOQ, NAB, PayPal, are all subject to ongoing enforceable undertakings. And we can assume that there'll be continued focus in the financial services space, given the integral role that financial services play in identifying and managing MLTF risk. Just go to the next slide, Nathan, please. So what's upcoming for us? So I'm sure a lot of people on the call will be across the upcoming legislative changes that we anticipate is going to cause a lot of disruption in the MLTF space. So the changes that are proposed can be categorized into two main categories, one being changes to existing reporting entities, as well as the inclusion of new reporting entities into the regime. So for existing reported entities, there's a number of different changes, but the key sort of theme of the change is around modernizing and simplifying the rules so they're able to be easily understood, and but still giving reporting entities the flexibility to be able to identify their own risk as well as apply their own risk-based measures. One of the interesting things that come out of the risk assessment, the consultation rounds, is that there's more power potentially given to the AUSTRAC CEO to make changes to processes such as risk factors that you might need to consider. So we can anticipate that AUSTRAC will expect organisations to be more dynamic in how they design their controls and processes. More importantly, for the new reporting entities, there's the one of the key change will be to include real estate professional legal service providers, and precious metals and precious stone dealers into the AML/CTF regime. So we anticipate that this will increase the number of reporting entities from around 20,000 to over 100,000 reporting entities. I know we're close to time, so it's the last slide really quickly. So what are some of the key takeaways for RegTech? So MLTF and more broadly financial crime risk remains really high, and AUSTRAC will continue to focus on these high-risk sectors to ensure that they're complying with the legislation and doing things that they should be doing. With the regime changing, existing reported entities as well as new reporting entities will be looking to identify innovative, tech-focused solutions that can allow them to comply with their obligations in a cost-effective manner, which presents a really great opportunity for a number of different RegTech providers. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Arvind. Appreciate that. So that's whetted your appetite for a little of what's to come. And so I'll just remind everybody of what's going to happen now. I'm now going to invite 7 of our RegTechs to the virtual podium, and I'll invite them one at a time. When we get to the 4.5-minute mark, I will turn my camera and my mic back on, and that will be the trigger for you to let you know that you have 30 seconds left. So let's start with Prem from Ingenuous. Welcome, Prem. Your time starts now. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. Hi, everyone. We are delighted to be presenting at this event once again, and thanks for this opportunity. This time, we came up with the topic of reinventing financial crime prevention with artificial intelligence. Next, please. Ingenuous is a decision support company. We are end-to-end financial crime prevention solution provider with footprints in multiple countries, and we are based in Melbourne. Ours is a flexible software that can be installed on-prem or as a cloud service. We have a wide range of customers like banking and financial services, insurance, super, payments and e-commerce, government and retail, bullion trading, and betting and gaming. Our software, named Intuition, delivers credit decisioning and financial crime prevention in a single real-time platform. It includes lending, onboarding, and monitoring products. Next, please. I would like to explain the product with an example of transaction monitoring by comparing the different techniques available in our software, like the traditional rule-based system, machine learning, the generative AI, and the graph network analytics. For that, let's take an example of gather, scatter, laundering pattern. Here, I have given some 6 transactions. Out of that, the first 5 are incoming into an account. The last one is a withdrawal from that account. Next, please. If we take the rule-based system, this activity can be alerted by defining a rule like aggregate cash deposit greater than $10,000 in the last 5 days, followed by a withdrawal of greater than 90%. So when we have this rule in production, we can get an alert. Rules are accurate, but they are static. There are too many variables nowadays to create a rule. The major drawback is it is alerted after the activity. Next, please. When it comes to machine learning, you can overcome this drawback. In this rule, there are three constants. What happens when it is, say, $9,500, 4 days, and 89% withdraw? The rule will not trigger an alert for us. But with the machine learning model, we can train a model. The model will create clusters for different patterns of fraud. Each fraud will have its own boundary inside the model. When a transaction with a similar pattern comes near this boundary, we can trigger an alert. The machine learning models will give the prediction probabilities in terms of percentages. We can set that a threshold percentage as say a 60%. See the third transaction, which is near that red cluster inside the fraudulent model. When it comes, when the type of pattern comes near that fraudulent patterns, the model will create an alert for us, and we can start our investigation, and we can stop the activity before the completion of the next two transactions. So machine learning is dynamic and diverse, and it can handle the complex data patterns. Next, please. With generative AI, a brief about what is it. We can generate new or fake data samples with similar characteristics of the real data samples. So here I have given some examples of the picture generation. So there is a technique in generative AI called the synthetic data generation, where we can generate new or fake fraud patterns, and we can train a machine learning model by using that. Next, please. By doing that, we can expand the fraud pattern boundaries inside the model, and we can predict the upcoming fraud. A fraudster will come up with new patterns every time, but why can't we do that? So we can do that using generative AI. Next, please. The last one, it is about graph network analytics. So with graph, we can create a network of transactions. We can include multiple data sets like transactions, accounts, or customers, or KYC information, or cyber information. And we can analyze the network. We can expand the network. We can infer the relationships between different customers, different accounts, and we can identify the hidden or unknown links, and you can action on them. This way, we can prevent the financial crimes using multiple AI technologies. All this has been provided as one software with an end-to-end platform in our software named Intuition. Next, please. So this is what we would like to share with you, and thank you for your time, and thank you, Prem from Ingenuous. Thank you.
Thank you, Prem. You absolutely win the award for being under 5 minutes. Well done to you. Thank you very much. If you've got any questions for Prem, please put those in the chat. He would love to hear from you. Now I'd like to welcome Anthony Quinn to the stage. Anthony is a foundation member of the RegTech Association and is also on our advisory committee. If I can get you to turn your camera on, Anthony, and I'll start your timer.
Thanks, Deb, and yeah, thanks to everyone that's tuned in. I'm Anthony Quinn. I'm the founder and CEO of Arctic Intelligence. Next slide, please. So Arctic Intelligence is, of course, a RegTech business. We were founded in 2015. We essentially focus on two main areas, so enterprise-wide financial crime risk assessments and audit and assurance. Our two platforms in the enterprise-wide financial crime risk assessment space are AML Accelerate, which is essentially designed for small and medium-sized businesses, and we have tailored that to about 30 different industry sectors and 60 countries. And I'll be going through kind of both these in a second. The other platform is also a risk assessment platform, but it's designed for larger corporate enterprises to be able to kind of configure the platform to a whole range of different financial crime and non-financial crime risk domains. Next slide, please. So we have basically got or helped hundreds of companies around the world. We've got clients in about 20 industry sectors and over 20 countries. So we've got mostly financial services and gaming, but we do have a number of designated non-financial services businesses. So we support a lot of the banks and the credit unions in Australia and different regions. I guess noticeably absent are obviously the big four banks who, despite being fined a couple of $1 billion, still feel that they can do risk assessments using spreadsheets, but that's another story. Next slide, please. So just to give you a quick overview of the AML Accelerate platform, essentially it helps to guide organisations through a risk assessment. It covers environmental, customer, channel, product and service, country risk. So essentially they're guided through a process to input data. It produces a risk assessment, and also there is an AML program document that's been tailored to the AML laws in 60 countries with more to follow. And there's other things like issue and action tracking, breach and incident reporting and other things like that. Next slide, please. So these are the countries that we currently have live at the moment and a number of countries that we are working on at the moment. Next slide, please. This is basically just a list of industry sectors. So the AML Accelerate platform has been tailored to 30 industry sectors, broadly financial services, gaming and wagering, designated non-financial services, businesses, if Australia ever regulate tranche 2, which hopefully they will do soon, and obviously high value goods dealers, which the Attorney General Department is still silent on, so we don't know whether that's actually going to be covered under the Australian laws, but we'll see. Next slide, please. So this is really an overview of the other risk assessment platform. It's designed really for large enterprises. We describe it as a risk domain agnostic platform. So it basically means that you can configure the risk platform, align the methodology to whichever risk management framework you have. You can build your own risk models, or you can use ours. You can apply weightings and on risks and controls and other things. We spend a lot of time helping organisations that are using Excel spreadsheets to essentially digitise those spreadsheets and then automate them through real-time kind of API data feeds. Next slide, please. But basically, this is just some additional information. So you'll get the pack. So there's links to videos and value propositions. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Anthony. So you even beat Prem, so we're getting shorter and shorter. Excellent. Okay, so next up we have Basim from Frankie One. Welcome. If you can turn on your camera, and I'll start the timer for you. Are you there?
Hi everyone. My name is Baz. I'm the VP of Growth here at Frankie One, and so thanks for your time today. And so yes, Frankie One is a single connection to the global identity and fraud ecosystem. Next page, please. If you think about the problem facing large financial institutions or fintechs, there's literally hundreds of great point solutions in the RegTech ecosystem. And historically, organizations would have to determine which one of these solutions works for the various parts of their AML lifecycle processes. So from KYC to IDV, biometrics, AML and fraud, it's a very complex decision-making criteria. And then you have to think how that works across multiple products and geographies. You then have to think about integrating all of these point solutions and ensure all of these systems talk to each other. And if you ever change your mind down the track, it's very costly to make any of those changes. Ultimately, this results in a pretty fragmented view of your customer, and the complexity means that you have a pretty rigid onboarding process. There is a different way to do that, and at Frankie One, we solve the problem. We go out and we've aggregated to over 350 third-party providers and data sources in over 190 countries, and all you need to do is integrate once. You get access to all the best-of-breed solutions, and immediately you then have the flexibility of customizing your customer onboarding flows depending on your internal risk policy and the view of how you want to onboard your customers. And if you think about best practice AML, you actually want to combine all of these solutions together. For example, if you're verifying an individual, you might be mandated to run a KYC check, but best practice is combining that with maybe a biometrics verification, some AML screening and some fraud signals. So you really know who your customer is and who the person that's trying to be on board into your business is. Next page, please. So, yeah, we operate in most of the world. We have 250 financial institutions using Frankie One. We have tier 1 banks like Westpac, CBA, and ANZ, through to global crypto exchanges like Binance, OKX, SOC 2 and ISO 27001 certified. and we've won many awards this year, punching above our weight in won many awards. RegTech of the Year in Australia, FinTech of the Year in Australia, and a couple of others. So it's been a very successful 12 months. All of these organisations you see on the page are able to do what they do because they can go to market quickly with Frankie One and configure what they need with little effort. Next page, please. This is probably the hero slides. You can see essentially a list across the various product tools. These are some examples of partners that you might be able to turn on. Actually, we should replace OCR Labs with IDverse. You'll hear from them shortly, but they're one of our partners. And yeah, you can see basically the ability here to turn on or off different providers across different regions based on the needs of your organization. Next page, please. It's not just data aggregation. So there's probably three things that we do quite well. Yes, we're an integration hub and offer a platform where you can select your best of breed providers. And obviously that simplifies and accelerates your integration processes. But we also have an orchestration layer, and that's at the heart of what we do, which is being able to customize your workflow, enables you to do real-time risk-based onboarding for your customers. And it's a very highly personalized experience for your customers. We also provide our clients with a 360-degree customer view, giving you a portal to be able to see and remediate cases, see who's passed and who's failed, and gives you the ability to understand where your customers are and how to best serve them. So yeah, there's a little bit about Frankie One. Thank you. Hope it was useful, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, and do pop those questions in the chat for our presenters. Also to the presenters, if you have any other links or anything else like that that you'd like to share with the audience, you can pop those in the chat as well. Okay, so our next presenter is Sean from Nexient. Welcome, Sean.
Thanks, Deborah, and thank you to the RegTech Association for giving me this opportunity to present today. So my name is Sean Thomas. I'm the Head of Corporate Development at Nexient AI. Today I'll be using this opportunity to present a number of products that we have to offer, specifically in the sectors of risk management and fraud prevention. Next slide, please. So a bit of background as to who we are. We're established in 1992 as a custom software development house. In 2008, we did evolve and focus on the sectors again of risk management and fraud prevention, and have been focusing on developing products in that space since then. Our mission and our goal is really to deliver unparalleled security and compliance solutions that harness new technologies, including AI and machine learning. We're head office in Sydney and Chatswood, and we do have sales and operational teams located around the world in Australia, Uganda, India, Tanzania, Japan, and Turkey. Next slide, please. In terms of the products and solutions that we have to offer, again, they range between risk management and fraud prevention. So to touch on the first one, GPayments, this is our fraud prevention solution that's focusing on payment authentication where the card is not present. We have NameScan, our SME-focused risk management solution that provides PEP sanctions and adverse media screening, more for your smaller entities and particularly the ones that hopefully are soon to be regulated under Tranche 2. And I'll touch on a bit more details for each of these products as we go. MemberCheck is our enterprise-level risk management software. Again, it covers PEP sanctions and adverse media screening, but also brings in KYC and KYB into the range of offerings. And the last product that we have is Fraud Shield. So this is our transaction monitoring solution that offers real-time transaction monitoring through our APIs and user interface. Next slide, please. So to focus a bit more on Fraud Shield, this again is our transaction monitoring solution. It helps detect, investigate, and report suspicious financial transactions. It does serve as both an AML transaction monitoring tool as well as an anti-fraud transaction monitoring service. Some key features is that through our APIs, you are able to scan your transactions or screen your transactions through our real-time fraud engine and rules engine. We've got a number of different features such as audit logs that shows when certain escalations were made, what are the risks assigned to those particular transactions, as well as escalating that into an SMR. In terms of our rules engine, we do have a set of 40 default rules that come out of the box with the solution. as well as a very clear and comprehensive customized rules engine, where you're able to customize the rules according to your organization's risk appetite. We have a case management tool, so again through the portal and API integration. Next slide. GPayments is our payment authentication solution, again for cards, for transactions where a card is not present. These solutions are based on trusted EMV code specifications, and we support all the major card schemes, including Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. So the services that we offer within GPayments are for the acquirers, so acquiring solution for acquirers, payment service providers and merchants, issuing solutions for issuers, payment processors, as well as fintechs, and lastly, testing for implementers and developers. And that is our Test Lab solution. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. NameScan, that is our, again, SME-focused solution designed at offering risk management in the form of PEP sanctions and adverse media screening at smaller to medium entities. Again, services that we offer is PEP sanctions, adverse media, as well as ID verification. Next slide. In terms of industries that we serve, we have around 4,000 customers across 192 countries. This includes these are from a range of different industries, including money remitters, financial services, crypto exchanges, telcos, real estate agents, gambling, buy now, pay laters, and travel and airlines. Next slide. So in terms of why choose Nexint, we do have 3 decades of experience in the risk management and fraud prevention space. Again, the solutions we offer include GPayments, MemberCheck, and NameScan, and it really brings our expertise under one roof. We do tailor our solutions based on the requirements and focus on developing solutions with customer requirements in mind and new technologies as well. Next slide. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Again, my name is Sean. My details are on the slide here. So if you need to get in touch to find out more about our products, feel free to drop me an email. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Sean. And please do feel free to pop some information onto the chat if you would like to as well. Thank you very much. Now, next up, we have Peter Villaris from IDVerse. Had the pleasure of seeing Peter now twice in 1 week. Well done, Peter, part of our roundtable last week with the federal government. Welcome. I'll start your time now.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Hi, and thanks for having me. My name's Peter, and I'm from IDVerse. IDVerse is Australia's leading biometric identity verification provider. Our service is used by banks, telcos, and fintechs in Australia and around the world, mostly via partnerships with the likes of Equifax and Frankie One, selling us in Australia and outside of Australia, Experian, LexisNexis, AWS, GeoComply, Playtech, and others. It's a real roll call of the best identity providers globally reselling our technology. Our main service is a fully automated identity verification solution. We own all the tech behind that. But today, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about our new product, Face Access. This is a product we're really excited about. It's all about using biometrics to authenticate an existing customer is who they claim to be. Next slide, please. So you've done your customer identity verification at onboarding. But now, throughout the life of your customer's relationship with you, you may need to meet the scam safe accord when your users do high value transactions, or you may want a passwordless login into your user's account, or perhaps a robust authentication method for change of password, or step-up authentication where you've detected unusual browsing patterns. How can you be compliant, reduce fraud, but at the same time have your customers enjoy a frictionless journey? Well, meet Chip. This is facial biometrics authentication at its best. This is what the user sees on your screen right now. It's incredibly simple. You just literally aim the camera at your face and you're done in a matter of seconds. There's no clumsy placing a face into an oval. There's no head movements required. There's no flashing colors. You just look at the screen. And in the background, what's happening is your system has sent us a source of truth photo, or we fetch a source of truth photo if you're already a client of ours, and we perform a liveness test, and then match the source of truth photo to the captured image from the liveness video. Simple as that. Next slide, please. Now, how are we able to do this so quickly? How are we able to scale infinitely and yet still stay secure? Well, what I'm showing you here is what our biometrics look like. We call them feature IDs. We've reinvented how face matching works. A feature ID is a one-way hash that can never be reversed into anything useful. Only our engines can understand a feature ID. So the clever thing about this is it really doesn't matter if it gets hacked. I mean, Dan here, our founder, could wear his feature ID around his neck and it wouldn't matter. This is his real feature ID. Every photo of Dan will have a slightly different feature ID, and we use fuzzy matching logic for a very, very quick face match. Next slide, please. At IDverse, we are always striving towards zero bias. We have our own deepfake generators, and we train using our deepfake generators of entirely fake data. We reproduce different skin tones, beards, religious headwear, COVID masks, all different lighting conditions and angles of face millions of times over. And every time we identify a problem, we can train around that problem and strive towards zero bias. Accessibility-wise, we're WCAG version 2.2 AA rated, which is as good as you can hope for a biometric service. Next slide, please. What makes us really unique, though, is that these days you need generative AI trained algorithms to stop non-generative AI fraud attacks. Fraudsters today are using these tools, and these tools are freely available on Google. You no longer need a PhD in AI to create good deep fakes. You no longer need to use a Tor browser and access the dark web. This stuff is easily available, a couple of dollars a time. We're tracking over 100 sites on Google. We've seen from our own numbers, 7-fold increase year on year since ChatGPT was launched. That's 7-fold last year and 7-fold into 2024. And these are really high quality. And because we can use our own synthetic engines to generate data to train with, where we spot a new fraud trend, and we're always researching the dark web and the regular web, or where a client tells us we've missed something, we can recreate the problem tens of thousands of times, hundreds of thousands of times, retrain their algorithm, and then release the algorithm all within 24 hours. And because all of our clients access via API, all of our clients get the benefit of the latest fraud technology immediately. No need to reintegrate. That's how you stay ahead of fraud in the deepfake world. Final slide, please. So if you want to know more about Face Access or indeed our other products, there is our contact email, hello@idverse.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Peter. Well done. Also under time. Well done. Actually, I was just looking at your some of the hieroglyphics on the screen, and they look like my Wi-Fi password that I have to try and remember every time. Gossia, we're going to start with you in just a second, but there's just a poll up on the screen, so I would love to get an indication of those online that are RegTechs that have a solution for fraud and scams. If you can quickly answer that poll, that would be awesome. Thank you very much. I'll also put a link up. Please follow us on LinkedIn if you're not already doing so, because the scams, this anti-scams challenge will be on our LinkedIn page on Monday if you miss the email. So there is that. Okay, that's great. Okay, Gossia, let's start with you. I'm going to start your time now. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, Gossia Slominski here from Fidai. It's a pleasure to present to you today about our RiskOps platform and our recent focus on scams and money mules. So first slide, please. I'm sure that these headlines on the growing scam epidemic will be familiar to everyone, especially given Nathan's opening comments. They're certainly very familiar to us at Fidai. We're seeing the size and the scale of scam impacts increase dramatically, both globally and in APAC. Last year, Fidai joined forces with the Global Anti-Scam Alliance, or GASA, which brings the public and private sector together to share experience in fighting scams. And their APAC conference is coming up in Singapore in October for those who are interested. And overall, our work with these industry partnerships globally is highlighting that now is really a critical time to be investing in upgrading and innovating financial crime technology. Next slide, please. So for those of you who don't know Fidai, we provide end-to-end financial crime risk technology for financial institutions, both on the issuing and acquiring side. We are a global business established over 13 years ago, which is reflected by our global customer base, and we've got a very strong presence across Asia. Globally, we protect over $6 trillion in payments, and to put that kind of scale into perspective, that's over 3 times of Australia's annual GDP. And we are the only the only vendor recognized by market leaders across all 3 risk ops segments. So that's the fraud transaction monitoring, the AML solutions, and behavioral biometrics. Next slide, please. I just want to briefly share an example of the impact that we've delivered with our clients. So this is a tier 1 bank that was able to save over $30 million in fraud losses by substantially improving their detection rates, whilst reducing overall alert and false positive rates with our machine learning based technology. Next slide, please. So how do we actually achieve those results? We deliver protection from the broadest range of financial crime risks across the whole new to bank and existing to bank customer journey. So our solutions range from stopping criminals from getting through the front door, including use of behavioral biometrics through what we call our digital trust solution, to ongoing monitoring for fraud and AML related risks. And we deployed our solutions both as one end-to-end solution with a consistent user interface across all of the modules, but also in a very modular way across clients who have a specific gap. Next slide, please. So coming back to the scam epidemic, how do we stop the online fraud attacks from happening before they actually make it to the transaction stage? So it's our risk ops approach, which is coupled to very powerful AI that allows us to consider all of the relevant data on risk all of the time at a highly granular level. And that's really key to what we do. So I'm going to repeat it. It's all of the internal and external data that you can use all of the time. The previous trade-off between the amount of data and performance required compromises. So maybe having to use a limited time horizon of data, having to use limited types of data, and grouping customers into kind of cohort level profiles. Organizations also tend to operate quite in silos. So scams were seen as a fraud problem, mules were seen as an AML problem. And what we're doing at FeedsEye is providing the ability to take all of the data together, calculate unique, what we call segment of one individual profiles for each customer to understand when their activity is genuine and when it's likely to be a fraud or a scam, and do that before the transaction even happens. Next slide, please. And then taking that data, we layer it all, applying our next generation AI, which is developed by, we've got a really industry leading research team, and we do it at scale. And some examples of that are our visual link analysis, cross-channel metrics, so we bring card and payment data together, and alert explainability that can help to reduce any biases. And by bringing it all together, we create a highly effective risk strategy that both detects as well as prevents. And I want to highlight that we've recently brought in real-time inbound transactional profiling into the mix, primarily to address the UK regulator's new liability model, but we see that that's going to become of interest globally elsewhere. It requires banks to monitor both outbound and inbound transactions or otherwise face liability for any losses. It is a new initiative for the market, and the initial results are already game-changing, so we're really excited about it. So my final slide, please. That's it. I'll leave you with our contact details. Please do get in touch, and thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Gosia. And if you'd like to pop some information on the chat, please feel free to do so. And remember, everybody, if you do have some questions of the speakers, you can pop them in the chat and they can answer them there. Thank you very much. So last but certainly not least, we have Colin from Jade, Third Eye. Welcome, Colin. I will start your time now if you turn your camera on. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. It's good to be here to introduce our audience to Jade Third Eye. Jade Third Eye is designed to help reporting entities comply with AML CTF legislation. But more than that, it's designed to detect and report financial crimes and thereby help to reduce the level of crime in this country. Next slide, please. Jade Third Eye is a software as a service solution securely hosted in AWS, and it has 4 modules. The heart is transaction monitoring, enabling users to create rules to address their risks. This raises alerts for analysts to assess. Our clients run ongoing screening of all their customers against the Dow Jones or World Check watch lists to identify PEPs and sanctions. Case management supports users with their ECDD obligations, or to build out a wider net of information about a customer, including storing files that provide evidence. Jade Third Eye has an interface to AUSTRAC Online, which enables our clients to automatically submit SMRs, TTRs and IFTIs. We've just introduced automated conversion of Swift MX messages into IFTEs. And our New Zealand clients can automatically submit STRs and PTRs to the FIU's GoML system. We started Jade Third Eye in 2012, and we have over 160 reporting entity clients across all sectors captured under AML CTF regulations. Australia and New Zealand is our home part of the world, and we're particularly committed to helping reduce the criminal activity in our beautiful countries. We also have clients in the UK, with Jade Third Eye running out of AWS in the UK. So I'd love to tell you some real case studies, but of course I can't due to privacy concerns. But what I can do now is to tell you a story that's fictitious. So let's call this based on a true story. Next slide, please. My story begins with a mid-tier bank using Jade Third Eye for their AML compliance. They have a good risk assessment and have set up transaction monitoring rules to address those risks. One morning, Jackie, the hero of my story, was reviewing the alerts that were raised overnight, and she spotted an interesting one that triggered the account's early mule activity rule. Next slide, please. On checking the alert, she could see that an existing customer had recently opened a new account, paid in $20 and then withdrawn $15 soon after. A few days later, they received $8,000 and transferred $78.40 to an external party at another bank. So Jackie checked the customer, who was a 20-year-old student, and Jade Third Eye had screened that customer previously against the global watch list and didn't raise an alert. So this was a clear pattern of behaviour for a mule account. So Jackie spoke to her manager and they agreed to submit an SMR. Next slide, please. She created the SMR in Jade Third Eye, completed a clear grounds for suspicion and submitted it automatically using Jade Third Eye's B2B interface with AUSTRAC Online. But Jackie didn't stop there. When a student's hired as a mule, it usually isn't a one-off case. She quickly created some new rules to look for similar patterns. From this, she found another person paying funds to the same external account, and she found another young person who had just opened an account and run the quick test of a small withdrawal. Next slide, please. Given this extra information, Jackie opened a case and began to bring in the related situations that she'd found. From this case, she was able to submit another SMR to AUSTRAC with the wider information. Her manager also put a watch on the second possible mule account and was able to freeze the account when the predicted large deposit arrived and before it could be moved on to the external party. Jackie went home that evening feeling very satisfied after a good day's work. Next slide, please. If you'd like to use Jade Third Eye to help you with your AML compliance and to detect and report financial crimes and thereby help make this country a safer place to live, then please visit our website or contact me directly. I'll be happy to run a demo and discuss how we can help you. Thank you, Deborah.
Thanks very much. Funny, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and they said, can you really get the RegTechs to present within 5 minutes? And I said very confidently, yes, absolutely. Our members are very practiced at doing that. And in fact, today have done very well in almost all cases under 5 minutes. So thank you. This is probably the most important poll of the day in what you thought of our program today. These are really world first, these programs, and they're a great way for organisations to actually talk about their offering, showing how they can mitigate specific types of risk, and in this case, financial crime. And so we are encouraging all members out there to get involved in these programs. We have recorded, as I said earlier, and this will go out to, the recording of this will go out to every person who was registered for this event. And so don't be surprised if people start reaching out to you, which is good news. I think what we have seen today is kind of how I started the day, in that financial crime is really a growing area, and we have some fantastic solution providers in this space. This is an example of the RegTech Association's Global Centre of Excellence that we talk about, and our job here is to accelerate adoption, and we do that through putting on these programs to show you the art of the possible and how you might be able to use these tools. And I think it was in that last presentation to help the poor old Jackies of the world, to give them some great tools so that they can do a better job to keep their organisations and their customers safe. So we're really looking forward to seeing you hopefully over the next couple of weeks at firstly Intersect and then at COBA, and we hope to see you all up at the Singapore FinTech Festival, where the association will be involved in a number of activities. And so if there are no further questions online, I might give you 10 minutes back in your day. We look forward to seeing you at the next program. Goodbye, and see you next time.